Hi, I'm Ellie Rain, and this is my familiar, Cypher. I'm an award-winning fantasy author. My books are called the Necrosteam Chronicles. They are about a necromancer whose soul is trapped inside his twin as they go on epic adventures. If you want to learn more, you can go to ellierain.com, or you can go to Barnes & Noble and Amazon for more.
We are Tuatha, and we knew that you would probably request a particular song from us. This is our simple freebird, just for you. I want to tell you about some links that we've got going on. We have a tip jar. You can find that at paypal.me/Tuatha. It's the name of our band, Tuathadea. You can visit us on our website, tuathadea.com, where you can find all kinds of links, all kinds of pages. You can find our store with our merch and more. tuathadea.com/the-store-2. You can also find our mailing list on our website and sign up for all kinds of cool information. Visit us on our Patreon, patreon.com/Tuatha. We really appreciate you once again. Thank you for having us here.
Do you want to make sure your convention isn't a dud? Then contact the CONmods for all of your moderating and consulting needs. We've had the pleasure of working with Sean Schemmel, Adam Baldwin, Matthew Lewis, David Yost, Brian Michael Bendis, and many, many more. Find us at theconmods.com, a proud partner of CONjuration 2020.
Hi, everybody. Hey. I am Star. This is Vale. Welcome to Modern Magic of a Middle-Aged Woman. It's nice to meet you guys. So I've been doing CONjuration. I think this was like my 4th or 5th year. And I have been a witch since 1991, so a really long time. And so we're going to kind of talk about the differences between kind of like learning about witchcraft when in the 90s when I started out as a 16-year-old and what it's kind of evolved into today as a 44-year-old person. My pronouns are they, them, but I just say middle-aged woman because I kind of look like a middle-aged woman. So that's why I just figured I'd use that for the title. So anyways, welcome and greetings and salutations. So I started out, I was raised Southern Baptist. And but I am 1/16 Choctaw Indian on my father's side, And I was drawn to animism as a small child. I remember learning about how in Native people culture, that the idea of everything has a spirit. So that the idea that this teacup that belonged to my grandmother, I'm going to talk about altar spaces later, but this belonged to my grandmother. My grandmother's energy is in this. I use this as a focus for my grandma. So that's kind of the idea of animism. And to me, it made sense. And I went to church and I would ask questions and would get kind of told I shouldn't be asking those kinds of questions. And so Christianity didn't quite feel right. Like it felt close. And then when I was 16, I met someone who was pagan, and I started talking to them and learning about the idea of having more than one God and using nature as a way to connect with the divine. And that felt really right for me because of my Native American past heritage. So I kind of dived into it. And so the person who introduced me to it, they were raised Catholic. And I really liked the idea of, in Catholicism, how Catholicism and paganism, they kind of really, the Catholic Church appropriated paganism and Wicca, and witchcraft and Druidism and all of that kind of stuff to kind of convert the pagans. And so why not just go back to the root source? But I liked the pomp and circumstance that you saw in the Catholic Church, but that's a lot of root base in paganism. So anyway, so that's how I started. And back in the 90s, you would just go, I went to Crystal Blue, downtown Atlanta, and I picked up some books by a woman of Silver Ravenwood or Ravenloft. I can't remember, something like that. I think it's Silver Ravenloft. But you can kind of get any kind of introduction to paganism kind of books out there or whatever. And of course, these days on the internet, you can just look it up. But I had to do old school, like actually go and get books or whatever. And I did basic kind of research. And then I'm the type of person, kind of like the Bible, you read it and you get what you get out of it. And then you kind of, the stuff that doesn't make sense, you're like, it doesn't really apply to me. So I'm not going to really deal with it. So I'm very much a whatever feels right for me kind of a witch. So anyways, so I was really proud as a teenager to be like, I'm trying to discover myself and figure it out. And then in my 20s, I was, pretty comfortable with myself. And then my 30s, I tried to be normal. And I kind of lost my way and kind of went back in the broom closet and forgot about magic. And it's only been in the last couple of years because of CONjuration, honestly. And being around you guys, and especially within the last year, and especially with COVID, I've really kind of reconnected with the collective unconsciousness and reconnected with my spiritual side, which is the broom closet. And I've kind of re-emerged from the broom closet, and I just recently came out to my family as being pagan, and I'm having to deal with that. So at 44, I'm having to deal with a family that doesn't really accept it, and having to, kind of be like, well, you can believe what you want to believe, and I'll believe what I want to believe, and we're both right. As long as no one's being a dick, because that's what life's all about. So anyways, for me, pagan, like being a witch, it's just kind of really evolved, and it's about being comfortable with yourself and understanding your flow. So the type of witch I am, it's kind of weird that I figured it out, but like, I'm not gothy. I'm not like the normal, like what you think of as like the dark brooding witchy type. Like that's just not me. I'm a Hufflepuff. I'm all like, I just want to give hugs, Huffle hugs. Y'all know me. I want to give everybody Huffle hugs. I love y'all, Huffle hugs. So I'm a rave witch, as you can tell. I used to be a little raver back in the 2000s, and that's my magic. My flow is to create environments for people and to connect with people. Like that's how I met this person. Literally, we met and they were like, how are you? And I sent them a picture of me and I was like, I love you. I see you. You matter. I have no idea who this person is. I've just met you and I already love you and I see you as a person and you matter. And that connection, now it's 6 months later. So like that's how magic works. It's about flow. And so for me, witchcraft has evolved from being something that I studied to something that I've lived. And it's an everyday thing. And that's what I think people want out of spirituality. That's what you want out of faith, because that's what it is faith in something, and that's the faith inside yourself to connect to everybody else. So Erica, Huffle hugs, Erica. So yeah, so part of being from the kitchen. See, totally. So because I'm a Hufflepuff and because I'm a witch, I made pumpkin pie to bring to Chris and Angela's house so that I could be here for the panel today. I was like, I don't want to do this at home. I have no idea how I'm going to do all of this. I was like, please, can I come over? I will bring pie. I will bribe you with baked goods. I'm a Hufflepuff. But so, witchcraft for me is
pie.
See,
there's pie.
It smells so good. We're gonna eat it later. I'm so excited. We're all starving.
Now everyone on stream wants pie.
Now everyone wants pie. Well, it's con. Y'all, I mean, it's con. Everyone wants pie at con. It's just normally apple pie, but it's CONjuration. It's gonna be pumpkin pie. Pumpkin pie. I just sound so southern. So, for me, witchcraft, like I said, I try to live it. It's not just like I'm a witch. It's, well, what does that mean for me? It's about manifesting intent. And so, which is, I guess, kind of like what prayer is you're praying intent. You're thinking of something and you're trying to make it become something else. And in this day and age of where we are in the world, doing that is like even more important. And I think people are starting to understand that they have divine within them. And that's what magic is. It's just energy within yourself and how it relates to the world around you. And so I'm so pleasantly surprised that I've seen so many people who weren't previously, that they weren't really sure what witchcraft was, and they come from more traditional religious backgrounds. They're starting to see that, we don't, even with technology, you still need a root in nature because it's all connected. And if we forget about nature, you have stuff like global warming. So, it's important to merge the inside and the outside, the above and the below. It's all about balance. So you weren't born in a factory, your birth. So I'm sorry about that. That was really inappropriate. I apologize. So, so for me, one of the things that I love as being a witch is I create little altar spaces, and I've always been like, they're like foci. So it's like the idea of, okay, well, I want to create this little visual world. So it's like, I think about like, I'm gonna look down on this. So this is Vale. Vale is going to, Vale is gonna actually show our altar space. So we're gonna show mine first. So my altar space, I did a more like a traditional kind of a flow. And I wanted to do something that kind of, since we just got out of Samhain, I wanted to do something that was kind of based on ancestors and those that have passed on. So I have my mom. Yeah, we're lagging a little. I have my mom. I've got my dad. I have my little kitties that have passed on. That one broke. I fell over. And then like this is my grandmother. So I took items that belong to family members that have passed on, and then kind of created this little display between panels. And so this is my altar that I kind of created for this panel. And so the magic behind it, it's just to kind of create a flow, and it's just to kind of bring energies that, this is from a cemetery. I thought it was cool. So anyways, so altar spaces, traditionally, a lot of people thought, you have to have your atham, you have to have your wand, and that kind of stuff. Well, that sort of thing didn't really quite fit with me. So it's, again, I like to feel stuff out. If it feels right, it's working, because it's bringing that emotion out of you. And so to me, it's all about finding things that speak. As Marie Kondo would say, things that spark joy. And that's what magic is. It's sparking joy. It's sparking imagination and awe and wonder and whimsy. And for magicians, like, that's what we're supposed to do. So, so this is like my traditional side. And then Vale did they're a more modern witch. They're very much like a media witch, whereas I'm more kind of like a nature-bound animism kind of a person. They're much more into like media and modern day, and taking, modern day stuff and making that the focus, which I love that juxtaposition. So with your type of witchcraft, you know, you don't have to be traditional. You can be very modern, and you can do things that use technology. I mean, there's technocracy. That's a whole thing. So, yeah, fire. So speaking of, so one of the things with witchcraft is working with the elements. And so even though I'm a Pisces, I'm a water sign. I was born in the age of Aquarius, so I have a whole lot of air. My magic is specifically fire. So is Vale's. But I love setting stuff on fire. So we're actually going to do that in just a second. We're gonna talk about so part of being a witch for us is spell work. So a friend of mine, for example, I found out my best friend recently was diagnosed with terminal brain cancer, and I found out while Vale and I were in Helen, Georgia, and so we spent the night actually outside at a fire pit, and we did some magic, and it was all about we just wrote intent, and I cut off some hair, and we ended up burning it and trying to burn out the cancer, and that was the idea that we set out for intention, and again, it's just like prayer. You're just sending up your intent into the universe. So it's interesting to me because I loved how magical I was for such a long time, and then I became an adult and I lost it. I was banal for so long and I missed it. Like I'd have these moments where something magical would pop up and I would be so excited, and then reality would just take over and I would lose that feeling. And when you have it in your life and you make it be yes, this is my modern day, like the angels are watching. So yeah, it was just the idea of making an everyday thing has made it become more real for me. So if you guys have questions, please also get into the chat log and start asking any kind of questions that you have. If you want to know about like whatever. Anyways. So I'm going to kind of open this up because Vale is new. So Vale, because witchcraft is new to you, but you yearned for magic originally.
Yes.
So how did the jump happen for you? I know meeting me kind of, but like what?
That was definitely the biggest catalyst. I was always clawing for something and I didn't know what it was. And I knew that I felt emotion through media. I could see other worlds in video games the way that people used to talk about novels, just taking them away to another place. And that's when it started to click with me that it was like these monks used to translate the Bible all day while drunk. How is that any different than somebody that goes home and has a beer and watches the same serialized watches The Simpsons? You go home and you watch The Simpsons because it's always aired and you can remember those characters as if they're gods. They are immortal through your memory. And that started to stick with me. It started to coagulate. It turned into this I don't want to call it fake animism, but this electric animism, this media monster inside of me. And I kept getting fed up with feeling so empty. It was the same as earlier when I was overweight, and I got fed up about being overweight. And it's like a snap occurred, and it went from being frustrated at that I didn't understand to that I needed to understand and I needed to look different, and it changed my perspective.
Gotcha. I'll be for being the first comment. I don't see any comments. Hey, Tony. Oh, you know what? That's the private. Let me look in the actual comments right here. I'm an idiot.
Hey, comments.
Hey, look, there's comments, you guys. Thank you. I'm a dork. And Brownie points to Vale for moving the angel around while the camera panned.
You didn't even notice, did you?
I didn't even notice. That's awesome. It is moved. Okay, let's see. Modern Magic. I'll be the panel moderator. Thank you, Abby, for moderating. You're awesome. Okay, so we're going to actually do a little bit of fire magic because we thought you guys would think it was fun. So the thing that I used to always do, the main tenet of paganism and of being a witch is, and it harm none, do what thou wilt. So it's always remember the rule of 3, meaning karma. So whatever you do will come back to you. And then so mote it be. So it's whatever you do will come back to you. And then it is as it harm none, meaning if it doesn't harm anyone else, including yourself, do whatever you want. That's the basic tenet, which is kind of like, the golden rule, be nice to everybody. That's kind of pretty easy. So what's a good source to look for reliable information? So, I mean, okay, obviously it's about sourcing. On this day on the internet, you really can look up absolutely anything. It really is kind of like, it's hard to vet. I don't know. I guess it is like about vetting. It's you just kind of look at your source. Again, I like books, but for some people it is about like I've actually found on Instagram, I'll follow some people and they'll I've found some that do like daily kind of like witchcraft like tips and tricks. Like if you're gonna cleanse your crystals, what do you do? I use salt and water, and I actually for cleansing them, I put them under a new moon. And that gets all the energy out. And then I will charge them under a full moon. So that's kind of like for example. So I tend to be books, but that's because I'm Hermione, basically. But if you look online, talking to people, and the thing is there's so many different types of paganism. Like, there's different paths. There's Celtic, there's animism, you have the Thor, you have Norse mythology, you've got Roman, all of that kind of stuff. So you just kind of have to figure out which flavor you're wanting to look into and then just kind of find different ones for that kind of a thing. It's the same thing as like, which Bible works for you. Are you more of a Southern Baptist or are you Catholic or are you Lutheran? That kind of a thing. Witchy Women Friends group on Facebook and Witchy Women podcast is awesome. Thank you, Donna Lynn. Oh, Donna Lynn, hey! Sweetheart, I love you. So Donald suggested Witchy Women Friends group on Facebook and their podcast. So check that out. So yeah, and also talk to your friends. That's a great thing. Like, and that's what CONjuration is all about, is connecting. So talk to your other conjurers, because that's what we are as magicians. So talk to your fellow conjurers and be like, hey, what worked for you? Again, Silver Ravenwolf worked for me. It was a good basic and then like basis. And then I kind of just went from that and did, for me, again, it's a lot of intuitive magic. So for the last couple minutes, we're going to do a spell. So will you hand me, can you show the 2 slips that we're going to burn? I want to show it. Yeah, I want to show it to him. I'm going to show it here, I think. Here. So for a spell, we're making a spell specifically for everyone at CONjuration. So we have, what does this say? Togetherness. Burn in the hearth of the heart. So Vale did this one. And we do this at home, like once a week or whatever. If we start thinking about, like, we did one for the election. We wanted, because people were really stressed out. And so we're like, okay, well, we want to manifest, calmness for everybody else and change and all of that. So this is intention. This is Vale's intention. And then I did mine. And mine says, magic, magic everywhere, in and out, be aware, conjure, love, lore, and life. So we're going to take this and we're going to burn it. So what we do is we take this and we do like
you can film me doing it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I will film you. So hold on just a second.
You have to tell them.
How do you do this?
You just pick it up. That's it. It's already. See?
Okay. Perfect. Oops. There we go.
You just gave everybody vertigo by doing that.
I just flipped everyone around. All right. So we're going to go right to there where the burning is. Boop. Okay. So what Bill's going to do is we use like herbs. You can make like lavender. You can make little sachets, little spell packets. Perfect. Can I go forward? I will just hold it. There we go.
If you can.
Ooh, like that. Ha! I'm multitasking, you guys. So what we do is we write this stuff down and then we basically burn it because we're little pyros. But the intent is while it's burning, you're thinking, and we'll sit down and talk about what it is that we're wanting to focus on. And so that's kind of what we do.
Do you want to show them?
So what Vale is doing is just taking some herbs that they had put together earlier, and it's got like roses and stuff like that. And they're actually putting it inside of this. It looks like yeah. So they're putting this inside of it, and they're going to roll it up, and then we're going to put it in there, and you burn it.
There's a reason why this shape burns easily.
Yeah. But yeah, so I don't know. I really love how finding magic again has made it where, I don't know, in the sadness of where we are also disconnected with COVID right now, it's like a way for me to feel connected to other people. Oh, this one, it says, what does it say?
Especially blended for having neighbors over.
Aw, so you guys are our neighbors and we love you. So we're going to burn this and have togetherness and magic with each of you. And so that's my spell for today is I can't be with all of y'all in person, so we're going to be with you virtually. Thank you for doing this. If you have time, can you touch on cultural appropriation within witchcraft, because it is one of the biggest things that I see as a source of confusion for beginners. Sal, thank you. So that's a very important thing to talk about. So cultural appropriation, you have to understand that we all want to appreciate other people's cultures. And in doing that, if you go to a person, you say, I want to make sure that I'm doing this the right way. How can I do this as a way to honor your people, to keep you in our thoughts? So I don't want to take it and make it my own and say it's mine. I want to be respectful. And that's what the biggest thing about magic is we want to be able to use different cultures, because that's kind of the beauty of paganism is that, religion, it's all culture. It's the same story, it's just told by different societies and different little groups and little tribes. So as long as you're respectful of it, it's okay. So I think, and you have to be able to source it. You have to be able to say, well, this is because, like for me, burning is a big part of my, of being Choctaw. Like I like fire magic because it makes me feel connected to the roots of my people. Dancing is also a very big thing. I love to dance and almost get like in a trance because that feels natural to me. But again, you just want to make sure like, okay, so this is the little spell packet and we're just going to stick it in there. And as we send off in a few minutes, oh, that's the cinnamon. We also did a little cinnamon room. But thank you. So yeah, so just as long as you're respectful and you say, hey, this is where I got this, it's voodoo. So we understand that this comes from a specific culture and you appreciate it and give respect to it, then you're okay. But again, that's me, but I'm all, it's all about respect. I may bring this to my yoga students and use my homegrown lavender and rosemary. See, that's
so
Paula, a Hufflepuff witch. Yeah. You use that and it like the smell, it's calming for the other people. So it ends up being like a spell for everybody. That's kind of how this works. So, wait, did you do anything special for Samhain? So
you want me to slide this one?
Yes. What did we do? So for Samhain, we actually it's kind of like a Buffy episode. Yeah, I love Buffy. So there was a Buffy episode and they talk about how on Halloween, it's when like all of the vampires and stuff, they take the night off basically. We actually, because we've been so tapped in, there were so many people that aren't normally witches that were also tapped into the collective unconscious for Halloween. We actually kind of took a little bit of a break. I did do a little bit of, just remembrance, and we did light some stuff. But it was kind of a low key holiday for us. We did a big thing for Mabon. We did a huge, we're outside and we did a gigantic modern day array, and then on the ground we did a separate one that was all traditional, and it was like it took up the entire backyard. So it was like a whole night. I'm gonna try to get that to flame, but yeah, mods, if we can get Sal's house, let me know. More points for Hufflepuff. Oh, yay! Which house are you a part of? So the difference between the 90s and now is now there's more information. People are coming out of the broom closet, and more it's becoming, more socially acceptable as a valid, it's valid. You can actually, if you're in the armed forces now, you can claim being a witch, and it's a valid religion. So, if people start giving you crap for it, just be like, we're all in this together. It's the same thing. So, oh God, that smells so good. It smells all nice and like lavendery and stuff. I like to observe the day with a bonfire in which I burn a list of negative things I would like to remove from my life. Joe, that is perfect for Samhain because it's about the new year. So it's about like, you know, it's the turning of the wheel. And so I have my little wheel right here.
You put matches in it.
Yes, if you put matches inside, that's a little hack. If you put matches inside of your spell packet, it burns better.
Be careful for how many, but 1 or 2 just in the center, it'll set off a little smoke bomb.
Smoke bomb. So yeah, so it's magic it really is whatever it means to you. So what initially drew me in to what drew me in initially was I saw the pageantry of Christianity, and I wanted to know more about it. And when I found the root cause of where it came from, and the idea of, you know, multiple gods, they all have their own kind of little lives going on, and they do different things. I was like, well, that makes sense because we're all individuals. Why should there only be one God when there's a bazillion people? You know, like that doesn't seem silly. So I like the idea of having that personal connection. So that's what kind of drew me in, was the idea of instead of me having to go to someone and pray have them tell me how to pray to God, I just did it myself, and that made way more sense to me. So that's how I got in. But thank you. That was Erica. Thank you, Miss Erica, for that question. What time are we at?
6:27.
Okay, so we got a little bit of time. Awesome. So, okay. So altar spaces, again, there's different types of magic. I like to do fire. I can do water as well. Water is really interesting if you're wanting to do like tea leaves kind of a thing. Teacup. Yeah. All right, more questions, please, more questions. Sam, I'm a Hufflepuff. Oh goodness. Oh, you were going to talk about one of the things we wanted to talk about. So part of why I think that witchcraft has become such a big thing these days is so as y'all know, because I did a panel last year, I have mental disabilities and I'm disabled. And for me, witchcraft and magic has been a way to bridge the mental disabilities and use it as a way to kind of rewire my brain. And using magic and that to kind of live life to the fullest. You were saying something earlier about that, about mental illness and witchcraft.
So I was thinking about it while building arrays. There's different magic to deal with different mindsets. If you are OCD and you can't stand not having things in grids. Sorry about that.
Sorry about that.
You can't stand not having things in grids and orders, then things like building this array are good for you. You already think about building spreadsheets. You already think about things in hierarchies. Go with that. Go with how that feels. Start to orient your things. You might realize that you've been building altar spaces and just not calling them that. If you have ADHD,
fire magic.
Try writing down what you can't let go and what you keep fixating on and burn it. Because
like ADHD, it's all about like all of that combustible energy. You're vibrating until you just want to explode. It's that same kind of a thing, you know.
If you have dysphoria, work on a binding. I have dysphoria for my limbs. So there they are. I have dysphoria for my limbs. Don't always know where they are. So stuff like this rave candy helps. It's a constant identifier anytime it's in visual range. Be like, those aren't just arms, they're my arms. It's similar for if you have DID. You can form mnemonic, and mnemonic is magic. It's
name is totem. Magic. Yeah, totem.
So you establish these items like Demona.
So for example, I wanted to show you guys, so focus, the idea of like foci that I've been talking about. So this little thing right here, this is from this little bauble. It's from when I was 16 years old. And I got this because it made me think of like some kind of cool Dungeons and Dragons thing. And I was like, this is amazing. I've had this since I was 16. There is so much energy in this. I've worn this to school. I used to fidget with it. It's me.
6'3".
And it's been sitting in a storage unit for like 10 years. And I recently found it and I was like, zoink. And it's weird because like I immediately felt a connection to it. That's what magic is. Magic is connection. So you find what connects you to the world, what connects you to yourself, what connects you to the people and the places that you love. And that's what you bring in. And then you use that energy and you use the intent of whatever it is that you want to manifest and you put that back out into the world. And that's all it is. It's just energy. It's just energy bouncing around on top of other people and on top of other energies. So that's kind of how all that works. So that's focus. Anyways, what suggestions do you have for sensitives? Okay, so we're both empaths. For sensitives, for people like us, it's all about shielding and grounding. Two things I suck at. I'm so bad at it. I'm an empath. Please, anytime you feel bad, I want to make you feel better. I take all that energy in. I forget to ground it. So what I would suggest, if you're a sensitive, learn to think of, I do this. I kind of think of like a shield, like a white light, a film, a veil. So I think of a veil covering me from the top all the way to the bottom. And I just kind of close my eyes and I just think of it kind of going all over. And if you're sensitive, if you want to do that in the morning when you take a shower, that's a really great time to shield yourself. You're already washing off all the old energy. Start thinking of, as that washes off, you're putting on a new veil. And that veil is going to protect you and be like the negative stuff will not be able to pass, but anything positive will be able to come through. So if you're sensitive, you can do that. Also, if you say you encounter someone who is like an emotional vampire and they basically have almost like sucked the energy out of you and you're like, I've got to get out of this. Go outside and literally stick your hands on the ground in the dirt or go hold a tree. I tell people all the time, hippie tree huggers, it's for a reason. Go hug a tree. That feeling and that connectedness, it'll help reset you. It makes you feel better. It gets you connected and it'll help get out any of the bad energies from anyone that you've encountered. Sal, I'm on the spectrum, and witchcraft helped me view textures and sensories that I'm opposed to as energies, which I could redirect away from me. Exactly. So I have.
So if you have synesthesia, you basically see magic. That's basically what you're doing.
So go Sal, you get to see magic. That's really cool. Yeah, my nephew is also on the spectrum. So like we're both on the spectrum. Like I'm somewhere on there. Textures are huge for me. I'm always touching this. I'm fidgeting with it all the time. So yeah, about these. It's so I have DID, which is dissociative identity disorder, and these veil made for me. These help me remind myself that I'm here. And then if one of myself is out, I can be like, oh, that's who's talking. So there's magic in texture and being able to feel stuff because it reminds you of it's kind of like a back door from here to here. So, so being on this, the thing is being on the spectrum, it's an evolution. It's where we are evolving to. Y'all are already ahead of the curve. So, you have a gift, and that's part of what witchcraft modern day witchcraft is finding out that disability, there's a reason for it. If you have that energy, use it. So instead of going against the grain, utilize it. Make it become a part of you. If you're OCD, use that magic, focus it, and you can direct that energy into a more positive way rather than trying to fight against it. You can either fight the flow or you can go with it. Kind of that kind of a thing. So yeah, good job, Sal. Thank you.
Remember that when we were all young children, we all wanted to be different, and we had the spirit of magic. We had the belief of magic in us then. It's when we all decided that we needed to become the same that started to homogenize.
Yeah. So that's the thing is that, in the 90s, it was all about being in the 80s, it was that punk aesthetic. And in the 90s, it's like, we were a generation, we're going to question everything. So you're going to, push the boundaries. Well, that's what today, 2020, very much today's generation, y'all are wanting to question everything. Keep doing it. When you stop, that's when you become like the middle-aged person who's just like, oh, I used to believe in that stuff. And then now it's just sitting in my basement.
Like, well, why?
Well, why? Bring that crap back out. And, and then you, it's like finding your old stuffy and being like, I remember that feeling when I used to hold that stuffed animal when I was a kid. Like, that's magic.
That was your child totem.
That was your child totem. So like there's, you incorporate it into your life and it just stays with you. And then you believe in that, then the rest of the world is possible. Cause like there's not much you have control over in life. So the things that you can control, this is one of them. You can control You're at 6:35. I've got 10 minutes. Awesome. You control how you interact with the world. And for people who have anxiety disorder like I do, and have dissociative disorder, so like reality isn't real because I have derealization. I also have depersonalization, meaning I'm not real. So I've got multiples in my head. I'm not real. Reality is not real, but magic is. How weird is that? So magic, literally being able to hold this rock reminds me I'm connected in the here and now. And that's what magic is. Connection. So yeah. Okay. Any other questions? I look crazy. I love this. Just want to tell everyone, I am so excited to be here with y'all again. Normally I have Kath with me. I've also had Thea with us one year. We love talking about modern day witchcraft and like alter spaces and the difference between, you know, stuff like way back when and nowadays. And I don't know. I think modern witchcraft is really, really cool. Like it's so, you can make it anything. Like it doesn't have to be like a.
Talking about the digitization of things, internet aesthetic, things like vaporwave, when people go make their aesthetic blogs, that's a digital altar.
Yep.
That's an altar
digital
space,
altar space
picked from the collective unconscious of the internet.
Joe asked, do you believe that there are places of spiritual power around the Atlanta area? And if so, where are they? So there are. There's a place, and there's a haunted bridge here in Georgia. It's been in a couple of films. It's like a big red bridge. I know that place is haunted. I can't remember where it's at, though. And then I would look up haunted places. I know that where there's a sane asylum, like there's a mental institution, I think in like Brazelton or something like that, that I believe is a haunted kind of a spot.
If you want a very new, modern part of the Atlanta area that has the emotional tension that creates that ley line, that spirituality, that haunt, off of Peachtree Avenue in a lot of Atlanta, there have been a lot of these areas that are old and new mashed together where gentrification has moved out the homeless but has not replaced them yet. And there's this emptiness, like when you reach a forest clearing, but it's urbanized.
So, and that's to me, that's kind of the neat thing about modern witchcraft is like my background in it is very natural, but I'm learning to have the modern day with it. And, you know, when I was growing up, there was no internet. I didn't get my first computer until college. So it's a little different for me, but I'm learning so much, you know, start learning so much more now that you can incorporate technology into magic. And I think that's baller. Do I have any familiars? Abby. So my familiar, I don't have my familiar anymore. They're with an old ex, but my familiar is a white, bobtailed, blue-eyed deaf cat named Mr. Bahamians. His name is Little Mr. Bahamians. He speaks like this. But yeah, I have a familiar that's a kitty cat. I have not seen him in 6 years, 7 years, 6 years. But yeah, familiars are cool because you can have more than one, but it's familiars just kind of, I don't know. Mr. Buttonmans was basically my child. If I had birthed a cat, that would have been my baby. Donnellan, Savannah is a great spot to go to get that spiritual energy because Savannah is one of the older places in Georgia. And so you have a lot of you still have a lot of old architecture. There's some hotels out there that are supposed to be pretty haunted and be pretty spiritual. Cemeteries, for me, cemeteries are always a great place to go because you've got you can find the crossroads, you know.
You want to mention pick and choosing Helen?
For us, Helen, actually, if you want to go up to, like, Helen is a great little spot. The river there, we actually just got back in September, right before Oktoberfest, right at the end of September, right before Oktoberfest started, we went to Helen and had the most magical weekend. We literally sat just at night, sat by the river all night long and did magic outside.
Yeah, remember that for a lot of people, magic won't be in the big spaces that everyone has gathered. It'll be in that tiny space right off the beaten path. I mean, that's why getting into Hogwarts was the slightly imaginary, slightly non-space train station.
Yeah, you gotta find the in-between. And that's what magic is. It's kind of like finding the in-between squishy, you know. And that's so, like, as a they, them, as a part of the trans community, us being, we have found that, like, especially a lot of non-binary, a lot of LGBT people who are othered. If you're disabled, if you're othered in any way, witchcraft makes sense because it's an in-between kind of feeling, and it's that idea of like, I don't quite really belong, but I want to belong and I want to find my own way. That's what magic is. So it fits with a lot of people who deal with being another kind of a thing. I'm in Savannah. There's so much history downtown. Erica, I want to come see you in Savannah sometime. Ooh, Chickamauga Battlefield and Kettle Creek Revolutionary War Battlefield are practically electric, but I'm drawn to battlefields and I don't know why.
People die in them.
Abby, I would say if you're drawn to battlefields, it's possible that you may have experienced one in a past life. Just FYI.
Or been touched by one greatly.
Yeah, like somehow, you got some sort of emotional tie to it somewhere.
You may have fought, you may have lost a son, you may have lost a father.
Yeah, so you may have just kind of think, you may want to check your history, like check your linealogy and see if maybe if your family was involved in any kind of like.
Or if you're a big protester, you're already feeling like you're on a battleground all the time.
Yeah. So, anyways, I think we've got a couple minutes. I just wanted
4 minutes.
Okay, awesome. So I'm going to give you guys a little plug for a second. You can follow me on Instagram. It's Spooniewitch76. And I actually put up pictures of like spells. I put up pictures of altar spaces. I do tarot readings, and I did a tarot reading or a tarot class earlier today. But I do tarot readings. So I have that kind of stuff up there. And then I also do artwork and that kind of a thing. Thank you. At Spooniewitch76. Shameless plug.
And while I'm at it, my Instagram is Art is a Trip. It's mainly an art blog for now, but it's going to become a lot of from a new outside perspective on magic. I've been working on art for my whole life, and it's always been where my evocation is. And now having a magical tie to it, it's significant.
Yeah, art is a big for us. When we do magic, a lot of what we do is actually involving art. So for part of what we did for Samhain is we did some art magic, kind of like what we showed you guys. But we like to do a lot of art in our magic as well. So anyway, so if you check us out on our blogs, I am at CONjuration every year. You guys see me around. I'm gonna eventually, I think next year I'm gonna be the new Hufflepuff welcome fairy. I'm so excited. But we do this every year. I love coming to CONjuration. I love talking to you guys. I love answering questions and just love y'all so much. So I just really want to wrap up by saying I've been saying this since the beginning of COVID. It kind of really stuck, and I've been saying it especially because of what's happened with the Black Lives Matter movement. Please know I see you, each and every one of you. I love you guys so much, and you all matter, and you matter because guess what? You're made of matter, so you matter. So just know I really love you guys, and I hate that we are not here all in the same building, that we're not all at the hotel and we're all slamming and having a great time right now, but we're having a great time virtually. So that's the cool thing is that we're being safe and responsible, and that's kind of a big deal, especially if you're going to be a witch. You want to be safe and sane and consensual and all that fun stuff. Donalyn, come to my panel on Sunday at 11, Unlocking Your Creativity, talking about the magic of creativity. That's perfect. I'm so there. Creativity and magic is huge.
It's all willpower.
It's willpower. If you're not creative, if you can't imagine why you're wanting to manifest something, then you're not going to manifest it. If you want to lose 5 pounds, but if you don't think about something and you don't put it together, then you can't get it out there. So, all right. Anyways, I just thank you both so much for this video. Oh, thank you, Abby. Oh, wait, here, love. So, so there's another panel coming up after this one. I don't really know which one, but again, thank you guys so much. If you have any other questions, please feel free to, I'll check Discord over the weekend. You can just at Spooniewitch at me and I will answer your questions.
Hope y'all find the magic.
Yeah, please find magic. If you ever want to hug, couple hugs. By the way, 20-second hugs. Give them to someone. They reset your system and they make you feel better. Couple hugs. True magic in the world.
Sorting the Simpsons is next.
Ooh, sorting the Simpsons. That sounds like fun. We're gonna go eat dinner and have some pie. I love you guys.
Much love.
Humdingers.
Ooh, humdingers. I love the humdingers. All right. Huffle hugs. Ooh, quick mention of casting consent like love spells. Okay, Sal, so please, if you're going to do love spells, make sure that the other person knows that you're doing it. I never do it on specific people. It's only the idea of to bring love into your life. You don't ever want to put your will onto someone else. So I never do love magic if it involves a specific person. It's only to bring it into your life.
Imagine love as an evocation, not an invocation.
All right. I love you guys. Bye. Food.
Food.